And joining us now are two lawmakers aiming to do just that. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut and Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Both of them are members of the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee that hosted a hearing today. And earlier this year, they reintroduced a bipartisan bill called the Kids Online Safety Act, KOSA, meant to help kids be protected from social media harm, predators, bullying, and more. As you can see, a bipartisan effort, and we appreciate you both coming on last call. Senator Blumenthal, I'll start with you. You introduced the bill in February of 2022, didn't get much traction, reintroduced it in May of this year. It's now November of this year. What is the holdup on a bill that, at least on the surface, would seem to be a fairly no-brainer?
We introduced the bill, and it now has nearly half the Senate as co-sponsors. Bipartisan bill, evenly divided, Republican, Democrat. What has taken a bit of time, not all that long in congressional terms, is attracting and mobilizing the support, not only from colleagues, but also from the moms and dads, the kids themselves, who are saying to us, we want to take back our online lives. And today, we had a whistleblower who showed very dramatically that he, as an expert, warned Mark Zuckerberg directly, Sandberg, and others who are part of the Meta team, that they were causing severe harms. And he is an expert, a product designer, and he was hired specifically to make recommendations how to make the site safer. And so I think the answer to your question is we have mounting momentum as a result of those survivors and victims, and the moms who have told us. One said, when are you going to act? How many more children have to die before Congress takes action?
Yeah, Senator Blackburn, I mean, to Senator Blumenthal's point, this is a gentleman who was not just some random Facebook or Meta employee. This was a guy in engineering, to the Senator Blumenthal's point, sort of brought in specifically to help maintain safety protocols, and his daughter was subject to abuse and bullying and sexual harassment that he could not stop. If this gentleman is not considered safe or feeling safe, what did you take away from today's hearing?
What we have learned from Arturo Behar, as you were talking about the whistleblower, is that he worked for years with Facebook. He was their director of safety and security and was engineering the security protocols, safety by design, duty of care, and making certain that the site was going to be safe for younger users and that you wouldn't be having youth harms. What he learned after he retired from Facebook, then he came back as a consultant to Facebook, working with the same group of people. Adam Mosseri at Instagram, Chris Cox, Sheryl Sandberg, and Mark Zuckerberg there at Facebook. What he realized was, even though he had engineered the proper protocols and put them in place, that they were not being utilized and enforced on the site. And you were beginning to have algorithms that were pushing kids deeper into certain areas. Maybe it was eating disorders, suicide, cyberbullying, meeting pedophiles, drug dealers. And then also that the kids, when they would report something that was wrong on the site or somebody that was making unwanted sexual advances, the site did nothing.
Yeah.
And that is when he stepped in, and Senator Blumenthal and I had some of the emails and memos that he wrote to these leaders, that he wrote to Adam Mosseri, that he wrote to Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg, and laid out what needed to be done in order to protect children online, and nothing was done. They knew the harms. They made a conscious decision to ignore it and do nothing.
Well, Senator Blumenthal, I'm sure that everybody with kids, and probably many people that don't have kids, would say that protecting children from online harm shouldn't be a partisan issue at all. Doesn't matter what your political stripes may be. So this is now a year and a half after you guys introduced the bill. What, or maybe who, is the holdup? What's the problem here?
I'm going to be very blunt with you, Brian. The holdup here is the literally millions, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars spent by big tech to try to kill this bill. Mm-hmm. And the reason we want to kill it is because they make a lot of money by driving this toxic content about eating disorders, bullying, suicide, illicit drugs at kids through their black box algorithms. They love their business model. More eyeballs for longer periods of time mean more advertisers. And so the holdup here is that my colleagues have to stand up to one of the most powerful lobbies in the planet. And here's the good news. We've been through it before. Big Tobacco, which I sued, also tried to stop reforms. And it similarly pitched addictive products at kids. Well, big tech is the new big tobacco. And moms and dads, kids themselves, know that we can stop this toxic content by simply giving them the tools they need to disconnect from the algorithm, making the algorithms themselves more transparent, and making sure there's accountability. Mm-hmm. If they're doing harm, those big tech companies, they ought to be held accountable. And this measure has nothing to do with censorship, nothing to do with blocking content. It has everything to do with product design. We know how to make safe cars, seatbelts, airbags. We ought to be able to make a safe product through the internet.
Senators Blumenthal,
and one of
go
the
ahead
things
quickly,
that
please, Senator.
we had,
Thank you.
Yeah, what we have learned is that when our kids are online, they are the product. It is a very lucrative product for these tech companies. And that is why they want them on the site longer. And then they're data mining our children and selling that. This is why they're making a lot of money on advertising. And it's time to put a stop to that and to protect our children in the virtual space.
Yeah, because if they're making a lot of money with no subscription costs, then we are the product. Senator Marsha Blackburn,
That's right.
Senator Richard Blumenthal, bipartisan effort, much appreciated. Thank you very much.
You got it.